let's start again.
That was a really good opening too.
Lies.
To the Simpleton Review podcast. I am your host, Nate Simpleton.
And I am Charlie Simpleton.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, and he's the only one that really has it together. And we are here this week, and we are here to review an album of one of the biggest bands in the world. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah!
No, I wish we were. No, we are talking about a bigger band than that, a small-time Korean band from Korea. Makes sense? Called BTS. That's right. I'm not sure what BTS stands for. It sounds like some sort of bladder movement. We are going to be talking about BTS on this episode of Simpleton Review. So if you are a BTS fan out there, and I know there are many, don't kill us when we're done with the review, okay? Because it's our review. It's our opinion. We're old farts. Lemuel is the one who actually recommended we review this. So
it was this or Bring Me the Horizon.
I'm glad he picked BTS. No, I don't know. So yeah, for those of you who don't know who BTS is, which I don't know who doesn't at this point, they are a Korean band. They fit the genre known as K-pop. Really, to me, has always sounded like a cereal. I don't know why. K-pop sounds like a cereal.
Because they have special K.
Yeah. Corn pops, put them together, you got K-pop, right? Special K-pop. Right. That sounds like something Dave Shaner would call my son, K-pop. All right. So
it does sound like something.
That's fine. It's fine. So since Lemuel is the one that decided that we should review this most amazing album, that is, by the way, the record known as B that came out this year, came out in 2020. Right now it still is 2020, but when you're listening to this, it will be 2021. It's called B. That's the name of the album, B. It's the fifth album, Korean language album, 9th overall from the South Korean boy band BTS. It was released November 20th, 2020, so it's still a fairly new release. Released 9 months after Map of the Soul, which came out also in 2020. So they've been a busy band this year. So Lemuel, why don't you tell me, what did you think of BTS?
Well, it was very pop. I have to give them that. They do have the pop sound down to a very scientific T. I would even argue it sounded very much like they were in a factory the whole time, or they had a bunch of people working on it. I don't know, but it sounded
very polished, is what you're saying.
Yeah, very polished, and like they didn't seem to stray too far away from that one specific sound.
Well, they know what sells, right?
Yes.
Why change it? Ain't broke, don't fix it.
And they definitely recognize their fans that don't necessarily speak Korean. They have 2 songs that were mostly in English, which is I can appreciate that, but also I don't like pop.
All right, Charlie, how about you? What did you think of BTS?
BTS, I've listened to a bit of pop music at work, and BTS was actually refreshing and a better sound. I've listened to a few bands, and it's nice to hear the sound of the music and not have to worry about the words, because I know they're going to be silly and everything, but when you can actually get away from that, be active in time with the rhythms and everything, it's like, oh, okay, this has actually got a purpose. It is to get you out of your chair, and is actually to get you to move in ways you probably don't usually move, and that's why the kids love it, and I think that's I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think I could do it a lot because I'm old, dang it. Talk about my age, I'll beat you with my cane kind of old.
Right. Yeah, so how do I say it? I don't know. Let me just say, first of all, it was supported by the lead single "Life Goes On," which is the very first song of the album, which is the song that sounds completely different from all the others. It's more of a ballad pop song than a straight out pop song, right? The idea of the song, from what I understand, since I can't understand Korean, it's kind of dealing with people, having to live through struggles and trials. And of course, here we are in 2020, and that's, the basic theme of 2020 is how do we get through this mess? And so, I appreciate that sentiment. I appreciate the fact that, from what I understand, they write pretty much all of their lyrics. They're incredibly talented. There is no doubt about that. They're fantastic singers. The music is amazing for the pop genre. Now, look, I'm just like Lemuel. I'm not a big pop fan. So it's hard for me to appreciate it maybe as what it is, which is straight up pop. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. BTS is straight up pop. I'm okay. I can appreciate the fact that it's in a different language that I don't understand. But what I don't like is the fact that they would sing a song and they would literally throw in one English word randomly throughout the song. Now, if they would sing one verse in English and then the next verse in Korean, that'd be one thing. Or maybe even one full sentence in English and then the rest in Korean. Even what's-his-face that sang Gangnam Style did that. But no, these guys just randomly dropped one freaking English word in the middle of a song, and I'm like, what the heck is the point? So then my brain goes, okay, now are they speaking English or they're speaking Korean? And then I have to look at the lyrics and realize, yeah, they spoke English for one stupid word, and then they went back to Korean. It's like, why are you doing that? Just stay in one language or the other. My old brain can't handle this kind of stuff. How dumb is this?
You're being tricked into thinking he knows Korean.
So there, that's what I think about BTS, right? Come on, man. And then, look, I'm not going to argue that the last song of the album, which is, I can't remember the name of the song now. Let's see if I can find the track listing here. It's the one that's completely in English. Dynamite. Okay, it's getting massive rotation on the radio. I mean, I think I heard that song before I heard the album. Right? Good little pop song, but it's a cash grab. Let's be honest. Seriously, if you look, and BTS actually, I have to give them this. They are one of the few K-pop bands or foreign bands, we'll just go with that can actually get a song played on the Billboard charts. You know, it's on the Billboard charts and on English radio. Doesn't have to be in English. So I will give them that. But the fact that Dynamite is completely in English is a cash grab, because you know they did that just so they could get the song on the radio. And even today in 2020, if your song is not being played on American charts or on UK charts, it's not famous. It's just the way it is. That's the way the music industry works. If you're not making it in the US or Britain, you're not famous. Okay? Doesn't matter where you're at. Doesn't matter if you're in Korea or China or Timbuktu. It doesn't matter. That's just the way it is. Now, is that changing? Yes, it is changing. K-pop is proving that the music industry is changing and focuses are going somewhere besides what's happening here in the US. That's not a bad thing. I think that's a good thing overall for music in general. But it still stands that you have to get your song played on American radio to be famous and to make money. And that's exactly what I think Dynamite was a cash grab.
Well, and I wonder if it's because that's how they can get American tours. If they can get on American radio, then they can get an American tour. The States, we have so many cities. How many cities is Korea known for?
Yeah, one.
That they could tour through.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing, is that if that's why everybody's got to come this way, it's because we got so many cities that they can hit.
Sure.
And make that's where the millions of dollars comes in, is from the shows. It's like
Right.
We've talked about Disney. The way they make their money is through the theme parks. The same for a band is if they can't tour, then they can't make it.
Right.
And if they can't make American radio play, which sucks. It sucks that they've got to cater to that to actually make it, because their sound is good. The sound is fantastic. Right. Yeah. I mean, it is well traversed. They hit all the major themes and sound. The way I'd kind of hit it is so that way. I mean, because it didn't sound the same throughout the album. I mean, it sounded pop.
You're absolutely right.
There was so much variance in the album. It kept the Gorillas on their toes. I mean, and we gave the Gorillas a good mark. These guys that deserve a good mark. Of course, the skit song was kind of again. if you could handle the pop, it would work. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like,
if you want to compare them to something like Backstreet Boys or NSYNC back in their heyday in the early 2000s,
absolutely,
these guys are easily just as good as the best NSYNC album ever put out. Easily. And they deserve the fame that they have. They deserve the accolades they're getting. I'm not taking anything away from their talent. The things that I'm picking on are ticky-tack. They are very, very ticky-tack. Obviously, it doesn't make a difference to the millions of fans that follow BTS to their graves, that want to have their babies. Whoop, did I say that?
They're not going to watch the Simpleton podcast anyway.
That's exactly well. But if we put hashtag BTS, I guarantee you we're going to have some BTS.
They'll get a look. We'll get a look. But, we'll pass the 30-second mark.
Yeah, maybe. There is that thing. And I agree. I mean, you do have to come to the United States to get noticed. Even if you're at the level of BTS or Beyonce or somebody like that sells thousands and thousands of albums, you're still not selling like you did 25 years ago or 30 years ago. You're not doing it. How hard is it to get a platinum album these days? It is next to impossible. It doesn't happen. So these bands rely completely on touring. They rely on selling concert tickets. They rely on selling merchandise. They rely on those public appearances to make their money, even when they're as big as Beyonce or somebody like that, because you just don't make platinum albums anymore. Will they get them? Absolutely. BTS has platinum albums, right? Beyonce has platinum. They will get it, but there are so few of them that can actually do that anymore. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Because of the way the music industry has changed. But you have to get to some place that has lots of disposable income and is able to spend money on things like concerts, right? And where is that? The United States, Western civilization, Europe, Great Britain, Germany, places like that spend money on music, right? There are certain countries that are just known to spend money on music. Korea has done such a tremendous job with their music industry in the past 15 to 20 years. The sky's the limit for Korea. They may be a small country, but they have basically, we have the British invasion of the 60s. We're having the Korean invasion of right now. It will go down in history as that kind of a thing. It will, and I think it is.
Yeah. Look at Parasite. Took the Academy Awards.
Right. Exactly. Parasite. Yeah. We've got the Korean invasion going on, and that movie is fantastic. But
oh my gosh.
That's what it was. So let's give our scores. Lemuel, I'm going to start with you. So tell me, what is your score for BTSB?
I'm gonna go with a 2, I think. Like I said, it's very poppy, and I'm not a huge fan of pop, so I'm very biased, and it's hard for me to totally appreciate it for what it is. But at the same time, like we were saying earlier, the sound is polished, it is solid, and if you enjoy pop, you'll enjoy this album. Even if you don't really know Korean, you don't really have to.
Yeah. I'll go next. I'm going to give this a solid 3. Again, I am biased towards pop as well, but I can appreciate what they've done. It's a good album. And like we said, it's short. It knows exactly how long it needs to be. And then it stops and you're done. Songs are perfect length. You don't get tired of them. And as Charlie mentioned, all the songs sound different. It's all pop, but they sound different and you don't get tired of listening to them. So for those marks, I'll give it a 3. I think it's a solid album. I think it's well worth your time to check out. If not for once, just once. Dynamite!
I'm going to give it a 3 as well. I would say that they did a good job for marketing. And I think they did a good job at getting a collection together. I still don't understand the skit.
I don't either. Obviously, there's potty mouth in it because they beeped out some words that were cuss words in Korean, which I'm like, you know what? You could have left the beeps off. This is United States. I wouldn't have known what they said. Doesn't matter to me. So.
Yeah, you put the warning on there, right? No. No, but other than that, yeah, it was a good sound. It was a good sound for being pop. I'm not a huge pop fan, but when I'm forced to listen to it, I'd rather it be that band than a lot of others.
That's true. We could listen to that, or we could. I'm not even going to say some names, but I could throw some names out there.
Now he's naming names.
Yeah. BTS fan base, come at me. Let's go. You want to go rounds? Let's go. All right. No, it's a good album. Check it out. It's fine. It's 3, but that means it is not Simpleton Certified. Sorry. I know you guys all want that coveted recommendation of the Simpleton certification. You must try harder. Shed some of that pop. You might be instead.
Go straight into
watch him come to a metal band. No.
Okay, so we're gonna move into pop culture news. Charlie, what do you got for us?
What do I have for you? I have, thinking about Korea and everything. I was thumbing through some of the news things that were going on, and I ran into Sesame Street.
Sesame Street.
I mean, who doesn't like seeing Kermit the Frog? Well, Kermit the Frog wasn't on Sesame Street. It was Big Bird and
Kermit the Frog was on Sesame Street.
Oscar the Grouch. What's that?
Kermit the Frog was on Sesame Street. Hi ho, Kermit the Frog here with Sesame Street news.
No, that was Muppet News Flash.
Whatever, that was Kermit the Frog though. He was on Sesame Street doing the news. I promise.
Was he on Sesame Street?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
I'll concede because I don't remember. Anyway, they got some new members. They have twins, Noor Yasmin and Aziz, which feature in a Rohingya language. So what they've done is they've introduced a couple of refugee families. These are Arabic. I'm guessing they're Arabic, but they're a Muslim refugee twins that they've introduced to kind of like aid for recovery for kids that are coming out of that situation and moving into other countries. So where they can actually watch television and feel part of another melting pot culture. I think it was a good move. I think it's probably going to get some criticism down the road, but at the same time, it was like a step in a direction to like include a wider population.
You know, the type of criticism they might receive from that, I really don't care. You know
Exactly.
Yeah, I won't talk into politics, but you know what? Who cares? I think that's really good. I think that's a because you're going to have kids that Sesame Street is always, supposed to be for kids, right? And so you've got kids out there that are refugees that probably watch Sesame Street. You've got kids out there that we're going to know refugees that go to their schools or whatever. And it's good to see this kind of stuff on TV. I think, Sesame Street has always been kind of cutting edge in that way, introducing characters that may be a little different than the quote unquote norm. And I know they've taken heat over the years, but I think what they do is fantastic because sometimes where are you going to see that kind of stuff if you're a kid, and realize that maybe it's not so abnormal after all. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
I like it. Lemuel, what about you?
All right. Well, mine's kind of boring.
What game is coming out now? No.
So this is about U.S. Senator Tom Tillis is pushing stricter rules on DMCA, including...
Can you tell us what DMCA is?
Well, I don't know what DMCA necessarily stands for, but it's copyright law. So,
Digital Media Content Act, I think is what it stands for.
Yeah,
Yep.
So he's trying to make rules like, not selling music that's not yours for money and stuff, like trying to make those rules a little bit more strict on the internet, which is fine and good. Like, I feel there should be more stronger things put in place to protect those who are creating and stuff. But a lot of the concern ends up being he's also trying to get rid of the so-called loophole that's allowing people to perform over other people's content, which is rough for those who are on Twitch and YouTube who are performing over video games and stuff like that, meaning they could face stronger punishments for doing that kind of thing, depending on how things go down and depending on how hard they actually push, or if they're just going to keep doing the please take down your video stuff.
Yeah.
So
what are they doing in the video that I don't understand?
Well, so like we have there's these streamers that will stream themselves playing video games, right? And so you watch the video game and there's usually sound involved in the video game. And most of these video games license songs from artists, right? And
Gotcha.
So when you're streaming this video game, that song plays over the internet, and therefore you are broadcasting a song. And so some artists, record companies mostly, but some music artists are saying that we need to get paid for that. The thing is, they are getting paid because the video game company has already given them money to license that song for that video game. And the rule's kind of always been that as long as you're streaming over content that has been made, like a video game or even a movie for that matter, and you're putting yourself on top of that,
like you're making it more about you than the movie.
Yeah, and
stuff.
you're reviewing it or you're you're watching it and whatever, then you're making new content. And so that's how that door that they're trying to close has been able to, that loophole, because it's such a gray area. What is new content? How do you define the new content? So that's been the issue. I think some people have wanted to extend it to the video game playing itself.
Yep.
The video game companies would be stupid if they made it so these Twitch streamers and stuff weren't able to play their games, because that is free advertising that cannot be bought.
Twitch pretty much decides what game is the popular game right now too. Like this game that's recently came into popularity called Among Us came out in 2018 and it had no players until just a couple months ago when some big streamer was like, hey, check out this game, everybody. And now it's like the thing right now.
And so if those developers got on there and said, hey, don't stream our game, they'd be stupid, because now they're making tons of money because some random dude on Twitch decided to stream the game in front of them.
Because now they can re-release it and make bank.
And
they're making a lot of money.
They're making money on the video game, and they're making money on merchandise. They're making tons of money off of this stupid little game. It really is. It's basically like Murder in the Dark is all it is, except it's a video game version of it. But it's an interesting law. The original law was passed in 1998 during the Clinton administration, and there's been a lot of, of course, this is the whole thing that the big movie or music companies tried to attack the creator of Napster over, and that whole issue back in the early 2000s. Look, the bottom line is the record industry is hemorrhaging, and it's been hemorrhaging for 20 years. They can't figure out what to do. They still haven't figured out how to make money. The days of making the millions and millions and millions of dollars they used to make is gone. It's gone. The business platform, whatever you want to call it, the business model that they used to live by, it doesn't exist anymore. You don't walk down to Sam Goody or Musicland and buy a CD. You just don't do it, right? And so you had a CD that you would sell for $16 or $17, and the store would take half of that, and then 3/4 of the rest of the money would go to the record company, and you were lucky if $1.50 or $2 went to the artist itself by the time it was all said and done. And now there are no record companies anymore. There are no record stores anymore, and so now it's all streaming, and these the artists get paid for each stream, but they're lucky if they're making like 1/100th of a cent every time that song is streamed, right? So it takes thousands of streams for them to make $1, literally $1 off of their streams. And so even like we were talking about a few minutes ago, you have to be one of these big time musicians to make any money off of your streams. You've got to be Beyonce, or you've got to be, Taylor Swift or somebody like that who's getting their song streamed millions and millions and millions of times. Other than that, you're just not making any money. Like I've got some friends that, of course, they're indie bands, but they're lucky if they make $15 a year off of their songs being streamed. It's just the way it is. So they've got to tour. They've got to make their money other ways. The record industry does not know what to do with themselves. And so they've got this congressman in their back pocket, and they're paying him a bunch of money on the side, trying to get him to pass this bill. And they did. They passed the bill in the COVID relief fund bill that they just passed. It was an earmark hidden under a bunch of other stuff. So it slid under. The only way anybody knew anything about it is because, gamers aren't stupid.
Believe it or not.
Believe it or not, he ain't stupid. So they found this bill and they brought it up to the forefront so everybody knew about it. Other than that, they would have just slipped it right through and nobody would have known the difference until the feds come knock on your door and try to arrest you because you were playing, Call of Duty on Twitch the other day.
Call of Duty and some kid plays Billie Eilish through the speakers.
Yeah. So I don't know. Copyrights are so interesting. The music industry, it's been fascinating to watch how it's responded in the past 20 years. It has been a strange, crazy road. It really, really has. So, all right, I will get to my last piece so we can get off. Everybody's tired of listening to us bitch and moan here. So, well, look at this. So, Warner Brothers is going to release all of their movies on HBO Max and at the movie theaters simultaneously next year. This, of course, is pissing off many of the movie theaters. It's also pissing off some of the directors. So you've got huge, HBO Max has been one of those side things like, there's some cool things down there. But when I heard this was announced, I'm like, it might not actually be a bad idea to buy it, because you're going to have every single movie that Warner Brothers is releasing going straight to HBO Max. So that includes Wonder Woman 1984, which just came out yesterday on HBO Max. You're going to have The Suicide Squad. You're going to have The Matrix 4, Godzilla vs. Kong, Mortal Kombat, and Dune, which is supposed to be one of the biggest sci-fi movies of probably the past 10 years.
I'm seeing that in the theater either way.
And what's that?
I'm seeing that in the theater either way.
Yeah, so it's and I'm pretty sure I heard that the director of Dune is pissed off. Now,
a lot of the directors are.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like they're going to keep that going. It sounds like by 2023 they're going to be releasing their movies to the theaters first and then bringing the stuff to HBO Max. Those are some pretty big movies. And Dune was expected to be a huge blockbuster when it came out. It was supposed to be out in October, fairly certain. But of course they had to postpone that. And I'm not exactly sure when Dune is coming out now. Oh, and
I think I wrote it down.
They're all.
I think it's again in October. I think they push it out a whole year.
I don't know
if I remember right.
I know, and they were all movies. At least most of them. It looks like they were actually filmed with IMAX in mind, so they were filmed with those special cameras. I think.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. The one also thing on top of that whole thing is I heard also very recently that HBO Max has canceled their free trial. So imagine that, because I think what they knew what was going to happen is everybody was going to get their free trial for Christmas Day to watch Wonder Woman 1984 and then immediately cancel. And so they took that away. So you can join HBO Max for the fee of, I think it's $17 a month is what they charge. And you can cancel anytime, but they do not have a free trial anymore for HBO Max. So if there is a challenger in the streaming universe, it's probably HBO Max. We've talked about this before, but it's going to come a point where you're going to have every single streaming service if you want to watch a lot of this entertainment that's out. Gone are the days of being able to catch everything on Netflix. It's done. It's over. And that's kind of sad because you're going to end up paying more money for this than you ever did for cable if we keep on going.
Actually, it'll probably catch up and be about the same price.
What's that?
It'll probably be about the same price because I know my last cable bill was about, what was it, $130, $120?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Right now, you got Netflix coming out, and they just raised their prices to $14. Okay, so it's $14 right there. And then you got Disney Plus, and you're paying what I think it's like $8 or $9 a month for that. You got HBO Max, that's going to be about $17. And then if you want to have CBS All Access, and if you want to have, you know, there's so many more coming out that eventually it's going to get to a point.
It's going to cap over. Yeah,
it's going to be as much, if not more, than cable, which is like. I don't know. The Wild West days are gone, people. They're gone. You might as well, those of us who got to live through the Wild West days of the internet, it's done. It's done. I don't know. It's been a fun episode. If you guys like BTS, we gave it a 3. That means it is not Simpleton Certified, but you might like it if you like fancy, sexy, cute little Korean boys dancing around on your screen.
Yes, he went there. Yes, he did.
I'm Nate Simpleton.
And I'm Charlie Simpleton.
I'm Lemuel Simpleton.
And we'll talk to you next week. Don't kill us. Don't. Subscribe. You can thumbs down us, but subscribe. See y'all.